house is where it's at right now. The practice is up 19% since this time last year. There's big money to be made. So is now the time to get in on the action? Joining me now are John Helmick, I said that wrong, sorry, Helmick, CEO of Gorilla Capital, pardon me, and real estate expert Michael Corbett, who wrote Find It, Fix It, Flip It. Welcome to both of you. John, let me start with you, because flipping is your business. You know, you buy homes, you fix them up, and you flip them. Is now a great time to be in this business, better than, say, 6 months ago, 2 years ago, and maybe better than a year from now?
Well, Melissa, you know, Gorilla Capital started 7 years ago, buying houses, fixing them up, and selling them. And it was a great business 7 years ago. It was a great business 6 years ago. It was a great business 2 years ago, 6 months ago. We've enjoyed this business. We've kept growing over the last 7 years, and we plan to continue to grow.
John, wait, I got to stop you because you're losing credibility with our audience, because a lot of people got killed flipping houses when the bottom fell out. So what I'm wondering is, you know, prices went way down. Now they're on their way back up. Interest rates are on their way back up. For a regular person who maybe this isn't their profession, is now a particularly good time to try and do this? I'll give you another shot.
Oh, ouch. For someone who doesn't do this as their profession, I would say it's very dangerous. There's a lot of landmines. It's very dangerous. I would never advocate for anyone to do this as a hobby. I think it would be very, very, very dangerous. You've got a lot of problems. You're buying houses as is. You've got to check title. You got to make sure you're buying a first lien, and you know there's a lot of things that can go wrong.
Company, they have a lot of cash, they have their resources, they know what they're doing, which is something that the individual home buyer does not know. Now, granted, we have seen prices nationally go up. According to Trulia's Price Monitor, almost 10% in all the metro markets this past year. But that doesn't mean that going into doing a flip for yourself as an individual homeowner, you need cash. You need to know what you're doing. There's a lot of risk involved. Because, as people will say, you make your money when flipping, when buying. So you have to make sure you get a property that you can actually add value to and then sell for a profit.
Interesting. You're saying you make it when you're buying. You say you're making it when you buy because you have to know when you're getting a particularly great deal.
Exactly, because before you buy that property, you have to know a great idea of how much you're going to be selling it for. And you have to work your budgets accordingly. So there are a lot of risk. It can be done, and it's very lucrative. But for any individual like yourself, you said you wanted to do it. You know what? If you can't devote some full time to this for 6 months and have a little extra cash and some pad, it may not be the best. You better keep your day job.
John, what is the biggest mistake that you see regular people making when they go out and try and do this?
Well, the biggest mistake is paying too much for a house. And you know, Michael's exactly right. You have to buy them correctly. You have to know your costs, and if you don't understand your costs, you will pay too much for a house. People pay too much because they don't really understand the cost. We know exactly how much it's going to cost to remodel a house, and we know exactly what we're going to sell it for once we're done with the remodel. And by doing that, we can incorporate a 13% annualized return, 13% gross profit into it, and we can understand our maximum price that we'll pay for that house.
John, how do you know what you're going to sell it for down the road once you fix it up? Because the comps in the neighborhood are always moving around in different directions. How do you say when you buy it? I understand you know from research what your fix-up cost is going to be. How do you know what you're going to be able to sell it for?
Well, we know what we're going to sell it for because we do not anticipate any change in the market, because we're going to hold a house for about 90 to 120 days. Our average hold time is about 104 days. So what we do is we look at the market comps, and we know that we're going to fix up this home. We're going to make it the nicest home in the neighborhood. It's going to fit in with the neighborhood, but it's going to have new carpet. It's going to have new appliances. It's going to have a new kitchen, a new floor plan. It's going to be a wonderful home. And so we know we're going to be the first ones to sell in that neighborhood. So we know what the final price is going to be because other homes in the neighborhood are not as good as our home.
Michael, how do you pick a neighborhood? How do you know where you want to go do this?
You know, that's a great question, because when you're buying a house, you're not just buying a house, you're actually buying a neighborhood. And one of the keys I always give to people is saying that if you want to sort of add a little extra oomph into your flip, you want to get a neighborhood on the rise. And there are actually two good ways to do that. I always joke and say, hey, if you go into a transitional neighborhood, you want to know if it's on the rise, look and see if a Starbucks has gone in there. They do a lot of market research. When you see new businesses coming in, you want to know that that is a neighborhood on the rise. Same thing, you also want to find a neighborhood with crime going down. That's another great way to help boost that extra little bit. But John's very right. When you buy a house, don't bank on market.
Hit Peter's mouse.
I think it's just buffering. Is that shit internet connection?
Detroit.
Interesting. All right, I hope you guys will come back. I'm a very skeptical person. That was a lot of great information. Thank you.
Great, thank you.
Thank you, Melissa.
Next on Money, it is one of the most famous